And we are back from the Monster Energy DreamHack studio to bring you the continuation of round 2 of the Nordic Championship 2019 summer season. Now, we just watched Falcon 2-0 Neon Esports from Finland, but what a series, Trouble. That was they answered some questions that we had about Falcon, didn't it?
Oof, it did. And like we said before, we were scratching our heads in the first game and we're like, did Falcon get lucky that they won? Was maybe Neon Esports better? And I think the second game kind of capitalized on that question. And we figured out that Falcon really know how to execute properly a plan from the start. Maybe it was just, the first game, they wanted to have a little bit of fun, or maybe they didn't have the game 100% into the game. The second one, though, it was like, execution, we're done. Thank you, next.
Yeah, for sure. You are completely right in that. Falcon looking good. There were some questions about Neon also, but I mean, honestly, they had a decent showing against Falcon here. It was competitive for the most part. Both teams had their strength, but right now we will be heading over to the match number 2 of the day, which is Nordavind versus Copenhagen Flames. And before we go into these matches, I just want to give you guys a quick update. That while these matches have been going on the side, Ventus defeated MJ 2-0 and TFT won over Dusty with 2-0 also. So Copenhagen Flames, Trouble, what do you have to say about this team?
Well, we did see them yesterday beat Celestial Gaming on a 2-1, and you could say it wasn't, convincing enough, because losing one game is still not the most convincing. You need that 2-0 victory that Falcon had today. But nonetheless, they are one of the powerhouses in our championship. They've got second place in the Danish Esports League Season 3. They had the third place in Season 2 of the same one. And they've also had second place in the summer and spring at Denmark's League Championship. Now, saying that, they've got a really strong lineup as well. Ninja is in the top lane, Young in the jungle, Fox into the mid lane, Gabi and Kalira in the bot lane. And I want to focus a little bit on that bot lane, because bot lane and mid lane I'm going to focus, because I know that the bot lane likes to play aggressive. They do like their Braum Lucian kind of combinations down there, and they like going in. They do like that action. So we could potentially not have, a passive bot lane this side, but more action down there, which is something I usually prefer. When there's action-packed bot lane, I think it's very nice to look at.
Action-packed bot lane is the name of the game, especially since we saw an Irelia Sejuani bot lane coming in from Copenhagen Flames in Game 1 versus Celestial 2 days ago on Tuesday's broadcast as we opened up the season. What a fun showing that was. I had the pleasure of casting that game, and it was all over the place. Unfortunately, they lost that game, but surely they can come in with
they had
some
fun.
more revised things. Yeah, fun for sure. They managed to win the series anyway. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do have Nordavind. And a confident Nordavind comes off of 2 5-game finals against their Norwegian rivals Celestial Gaming, most recently placing first in the NEL after running off the group stage with an impressive 9-1 record. And that puts them at 3 consecutive Nordic Esport League wins, with mostly the same roster as their current one, only swapping out their top laners at times. Kett is coming in as the newest addition to the team. He's got a rich competitive history, and most recently leaving Copenhagen Flames, the team that he'll be facing off against today, to join Nordavind and a second team also. The remaining 4-man squads, they have multiple Nordic championship showings. They got semi-finals in the Nordics also, and Ragnarok wins between them. They are, however, coming off of a loss to the Finnish Esports League first seed MG Esports 2 days ago, and they're looking to redeem themselves against Copenhagen Flames right now. On that lineup, we do have Kekt in the top lane, of Ploxy jungle, Ericsson in the mid, and Tide and Touch on the bot side. So we've got Nordavind's number 1 going up against Denmark's number 2. Copenhagen Flames, trouble. 2 days ago, when they played Celestial, they did such a good job at baiting out the Celestials' questionable tendencies, and they seem like a very, very smart team. But I'm curious how they'll match up against Norway's number 1, especially since they lost the previous match against MJ. How do you think a loss in the first round affects the mentality of a team like Nordavind heading into round 2?
If it was any other team other than the first in the league, I would say, yeah, maybe it can shake you up. Maybe you can start, doubting yourself, your players, the team, and everything. But I feel like a number one team really knows how to deal with losses. And yes, it was a 0-2 loss. Fine, they will overcome it. I'm pretty sure they came first in the league. I think they can do it again here. They can show a good face for Norway in this championship and going against Copenhagen Flames. They didn't win their game yesterday as convincingly. You said they were pulling some weird Sejuani bot lanes down
Oh
there, so
yes,
that could be
absolutely.
the chance for Nordavind to say, all right, you want to pull all this weird stuff? We're going to play our game and beat you to it. Of course, we have to note here that Nordavind is known to play for these mad scaling late games with every single one of their comps. So they love running the Severe. That Severe Lux in the bot lane is very strong right now. We talked about it. They love their AD fighters in the top lanes, such as Aurelias, Nas, Aatroxes, and so on and so on. And more of like controlling junglers, such as Suwanis, Kindreds, and a lot of assassins for Ericsson in the mid lane. On the other hand, though, we've got a lot of flex picks. It's one of these teams for Copenhagen Flames that they have flexed the Corki in mid lane and bot lane. Last time we've seen a flexed Corki in the bot lane, it was from Sneaky in C9. And it seemed to have worked. And literally his decision behind that was like, why not? I thought I wanted to play the Corki. I felt like it. I picked it. It worked. So there you go.
Sometimes that's all you need, just feeling like playing a pick.
That
Maybe, hey,
feeling exactly. Yeah.
maybe that's where the Irelia Sejuani combo came out of. But I mean, I want to give it a little bit to Copenhagen Flames. Also, it's not as if they're this weird team that plays a bunch of strange things. Not at all. They can manage to play standard, and they do it fairly well. That's how they rounded off the series against Celestial, by playing fairly standard and playing to their strengths. So they're an interesting team in that regard, that they're intelligent when they play standard, but they can also throw you complete curveballs. And my eyes are on Ericsson versus Eden Fox. Actually, Eden
Yes.
Fox transitioned from Vladimir into he was facing off against Abram Necton for Celestial Gaming, and he transitioned that into playing Aatrox twice in the other games. He also has an interesting champion pool. If you look at his historical picks
I mean,
going
he pretty much
into,
plays everything.
he plays pretty much everything, and he surely should have most answers to Ericsson's hyper aggressive melee bruiser assassin kind of play style. That it'll be really cool to see how they interplay and respond to each other, because Eden Fox looked great 2 days ago. Champ Select is on the way. Silas Yumi taken away, as well as Lux Karma. We're just
Ooh.
simply not going to be seeing Lux, are we, Trouble?
Who's gonna grab the LeBlanc, Lance?
Oh, the
Is it
LeBlanc.
gonna be Ericsson or is it gonna be Eden Fox?
Do you
And
think it's
of
that high
course,
priority though?
no,
Do you
I
think
don't
they're
think
going to
so.
leave
I
it
just know
to
that both
second round?
really tend to play it, and they really both enjoy playing it. And I would just love to see an assassin versus assassin. It's been so long, Lance me not, that we've seen that assassin versus assassin in the mid lane. I'm sorry, Mordekaiser locked in for Kex in the top lane, and have fun, play by playing the ultimate. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
say.
know. I was just about to say it's horrible. It's horrible. You banish someone to the Shadow Realm and then you never see them again. Or you do see them, but it's like in the middle of a team fight. Luckily, there's some animation there to guide you. But yeah, the Mordekaiser appears to be a staple pick of the tournament here, with repeat picks across several teams. We saw a couple of Mordekaiser versus Karma matchups the other day, but Karma is obviously banned away here. But Mordekaiser, super strong pick there in the top side, is going to be responded by a Zaya and a Rakan. Now, Zaya, when picking into a Mordekaiser, right, Trouble, you have to take into consideration how can you survive the banishing, or can you 1v1 him? And you can answer the Mordekaiser in several different ways. And I think Zaya will have a decently fair time with that
Mhm.
Feather Storm and the root and everything. And also, I have to point out, the Aatrox taken away from Eden Fox, which is a gorgeous target to free up Ericsson.
I mean, they've seen him getting his hands on that Ajax, and they're like, well, we don't want any of these shenanigans in the mid lane. But back to your point about Mordekaiser, the thing is that he's ungankable because that 2v1, he manages to make it into a 1v1, gets out with all that healing that happens. He could manage to actually 2v1 the situation by isolating one target at a time. Ploxy, though, gonna be going with the Kindred in the jungle, and I'm expecting a 100% Sona ban in the second rotation of the bans because that Tamkin's been locked in, and one ADC in the jungle, ding ding ding, rings a bell. I'm getting deja vu. This is exactly what we saw in the previous best of 3, and it worked wonders.
It did work wonders, and it just adds to the bunch of weird tools that you've got going for you,
Hey!
with the survivability of the Kindred ultimate and the Devour and the Mordecai. So it's so much, and there's that Sona ban away that you predicted so nicely. But don't you think that Zaya Rakan does fairly okay into a Tom Kench Sona lane though?
Well, there is a lot of pressure from the Tam Kens against the Rakan, but I feel like this is a mostly just sit down there in the bot lane and farm kind of lane like before. So we're going to be taken away, of course. And they were scared of the Vayne versus the Mordekaiser because it does really well. And even if you isolate Vayne in the realm, here comes the question, Lance Minot, all right? If you're cats and you have the Mordekaiser in your hands, you need to make sure you banish someone that you can actually deal with. If you banish a Vayne, you cannot really deal with her.
And there's some other creative things that you can do with the Mordekaiser also, right? If you're being focused down, you can act as a frontline. Mordekaiser doesn't necessarily build too tankily, does he?
Mhm.
He's more of an AP kind of bruiser style. But if you get tanked down to a lower amount of HP, you can absolutely ult someone that you can deal with, only to make yourself survive after having tanked enough damage and then heal right back up. So we might very well see a quickness from Rakan to being quickly banished away and negating an entire engage tool by Kex, or a respond engage tool after Kex has taken enough damage. So there's a lot of creativity here, which is going to be a bunch of fun to shotcast. That's a Heimerdinger locked in. Now, is that mid or is it bot lane?
I would have to say that might potentially be mid lane. Because of the fact that you've locked in the Jax, nothing's going to happen in the top lane. It's just going to be a farm fest in the bot lane as well. But Copenhagen Flames have locked in the Rek'Sai, so they know whatever ends up being mid, that person is going to get a lot of jungle attention. There you go. Kalista in the bot lane with Tam Kents. Staying safe is the name of the game. But getting the Heimerdinger in the mid lane, you negate any action coming in from Young's Rek'Sai, as we have a slight issue with the picks and bans, but we will sort this out real quickly. So, back to that. Another thing, I want to talk about the Mordekaiser again, because you said there's a
Yes.
lot of creative ways, and indeed there is. And that also negates the fact that the enemy team might go with an assassin, because the assassin will usually want to go over to your backline, assassinate your Kalista, before the Devour drops. Now, you don't have just one way to protect your Kalista by the Devour, you have the Realm as well. So once the assassin, let's say that Eden Fox wants to go with that LeBlanc in the mid lane, the Yasuo, anything, the Talon, something that can jump into the backline. Well, now, the second you jump in and Kex puts you into the realm, you have to deal with him first. And even though he's not a tank, he is tanky. So it's going to take most of your CDs and your time try and kill the Mordekaiser to get back out in time to try and get into the team fight. Plus, not to mention, you don't really know where you're going to end up out. And you don't see anyone else, what's happening around the fight. So you could be completely in the middle of the enemy team.
Then again, in a competitive setting such as this, the person banished to the realm, can rely on his team guiding him through a little bit, or at least saying what's going on what's going on around his spawning spot, because obviously your team members can see where your ghost is. Now, if these picks are indeed what they seem to be from Nordavind, this is an ungankable team. Like, just look at their lineup. Mordekaiser Kindred, a potential Heimerdinger mid, and there's a Callista and Tom Kench bot side. So annoying to play versus, and Copenhagen Flames playing this standard team composition, which is brawly and has the setup for sure. If you were against any other combination, actually, okay, so it was not the Heimerdinger, but this just amplifies the point with Azir reducing the gank ability and amplifying the defensiveness on team Nordavind here. I like the Azir pick, actually. I do.
There is a bigger problem when you pick Azir. The only ADC that can outrange an Azir is the Caitlyn and a Tristana super late into the game. Now, Tristana is not exactly meta, but Caitlyn is, although Zaya Rakan was locked in fairly early into the game by Copenhagen Flames. So you have a Corki as your ADC and a Zaya that can get nowhere near Ericsson, because these Sand Soldiers are going to do way too much damage until you put these auto attacks down. So I am a really big fan of the Nordavind draft so far, but I think from the other side, Young is gonna have to focus on that top side, on that towards that Mordekaiser, because this is, let's say, realistically, the only lane that you can get something going, get Nitri's really far ahead into the game. Wait a second, it wasn't a Kalista.
Okay. No, it's actually the Heimerdinger bot lane, it seems, with
The
with
Tamkench.
that Tahm Kench together with him. Going up against Zaya Rakan, though. All right, so what does the Heimerdinger actually accomplish in this lane versus the laning prowess of Zaya Rakan? What do you think?
Well, basically, Zaya Rakan needs to be in a free lane where you can pressure the wave, at least in the middle of it. Once you put that Zaya Rakan underneath a tower, there is insane poke coming in from Tide's Heimerdinger, and the Zaya is not necessarily a champion that, can save spells and somehow manage to last hit every single minion. So she is going to struggle CSing underneath a tower, at least at the early stages of the game. Your Q doesn't do that much damage. Your drawback from the feathers is not going to do that much damage either. So Kalira is going to have to play a big part there, trying to move forward to help Gubby last hit the minions. And that's where all the poke comes in. That's where the Tamken's tongue lash comes in. So there's going to be a lot of pain happening in this lane. And as you can see, you've got 3, if not 4, pushing lanes for the side of Nordavind, meaning, again, that the Kindred has been unleashed to try and get as many marks as possible early into the game while having the follow-up from his team.
Kindred's going to have a field day. Ploxy will enjoy the freedom of these pushing lanes so well, but is going up against that Hail of Blades Rek'Sai again, who does a fairly good job at clearing the jungle and keeping up in experience and a relative strength. So, but if they find each other out early on, who would you give it to? Would you give it to an early game Kindred who's say level 3 or 4, or would you give it to a Rek'Sai with the same
Oh
power?
no. That would definitely have to be Young's Rek'Sai. Hail of Blades early game is so strong. And the fact that you can actually find where Kindred is with the sonar before you get there, you can actually prepare your lanes. Once you have found out where Plox is going to be, you can prepare your lanes to try and push forward so you can get that prior advantage as well. Now, it's not that easy if you're going to be playing the Jax in the top lane. It's mostly easy for Eden folks to try and pressure against the Azir. But then again, the Sand Soldiers,
It's the Sand Soldiers.
exactly, the range of them is going to be really hard for Eden folks to get anything done in the mid lane without any help from Young.
Yeah, those Sand Soldiers are going to be playing a large part of both the early game and the late stages of this match. As you said, it's going to be difficult for any of the Copenhagen Flames carries to really put down any amount of damage at all onto Ericsson. So it sort of all comes down to playing around the defensive tools that Nordavind have available to them, and perhaps and only then will they be able to capitalize with those carries. But then again, if you CC that Azir and catch him out of position, then there is enough damage, I would say, on the side of Copenhagen Flames. But Azir's so annoying, right, Trouble? He's so strong early and he transitions so well. What is expected then from Young to try to help out Eden Fox to deny this surefire Azir scaling?
I mean, there's two things you can actually do. You either try to go way to late game and let your jugs do all work together with Young's Rek'Sai. They're both going to jump in on the back line. You know, you can't banish both of them, so somebody might likely die. And yes, there's going to be a lot of towers there, Bite Tide and Giga Shock onto that Tam Kench. But you're also going to have a backline of your own. You know, that Corki, that Zaya. If the Rakan goes in, he's going to CC the entire team. You know, you can put the pain. You have a small window where you can put the pain down on Ericsson, and he's not going to be able to react unless, you know, there's a QSS later on in the game to get out of the CC. But for starters, I feel like both teams have what they need towards late game to go into a 5v5 fight, and they also have what they need to go into a 4-1 and let, you know, two lanes split push. You can have Tide onto that Heimerdinger with all the towers, being able to split push the tower, and on the other side, Ninsways has the Jax, which we all know how powerful he is at taking down towers. Now, when it comes to the early game, I think Young has to play around the top side of the map. I don't think that he would take any part in the bot lane action, especially with all these towers right there from Heimerdinger. They're doing an insane amount of damage early into the game, and the Devour gives so much time for these towers to act while you have no one to hit.
So the answer is pretty much get Nijhuis to a position where he can be as much of a threat for the team to not have to deal with Ericsson, perhaps?
Exactly, and look at what Young is doing right now. He's trying to power clear the jungle, get that level 3, and possibly pay a visit into Ericsson in the mid lane.
So an early game onto Ericsson would push that lane or tilt that lane in favor of Eden quite nicely. There is teleport on both sides, however. The thing is, how much can Eden Fox really do with an advantage into the Aatrox, right? Because surely Ericsson can keep a distance despite, even if he dies early on, or even if Flash is forced, he can farm from a distance quite nicely. But perhaps it frees up Eden Fox to go elsewhere.
You do, but keep in mind that the Sand Soldiers are very mana hungry. You have to set them down and then you have to push them forward into another place, and that burns a lot of your mana. And you can see right here that Eden Fox, yes, he has been poked in the mid lane. He still has his whole port available, and Young is down the bot lane.
He is down in the bot lane. Kalhira tries to find the ground entrance, but Young didn't manage to connect because Gigashock did flash away and will get out with his HP well intact. So doesn't shy away from blowing that flash early on, purely to keep control of this lane.
And I love what Young went with into that bot lane. You burn the flash from the Tam Kench. You can return onto this lane because that's a Tam Kench with Glacial Augment. He's not going to have Spellbook. He's not going to be reducing the cooldown of his summoner spells. He's not going to have it back in like 1.5 to 2 minutes. He's gonna have to wait the full-on duration. And look at that right now. You have been spotted in the top lane. You have seen the Kindred. So Young is free to move around the bot jungle of Ploxy and maybe return a gang, because look how far forward Gigashock is in this lane.
There comes the engagement kill here. Remember, Gigashock does not have flash. The Grey Health comes in, but it's going to time out shortly. And there's that first blood. Unfortunately going on for Kalhira, but look at the amount of damage that Tide can bring out here. Surely he won't flash forward for some sort of kill attempt. No, but nice repeat gank there, coming in from Young, capitalizing on that blown flash nicely and tilts the lane, albeit slightly in favor of Gooby and Cal here.
Exactly, great stuff right here from Young. Grabs the flash, repeats the gank. Din din din. Money goes into not the right pockets, but a first blood is a first blood, and you have to take it. Alright, so Kalira is going to be claiming this one. And you saw what we said before, that it's so dangerous for Young to try and attempt a gank into the bot lane because these towers do an insane amount of damage, and he saw that he almost had to pay with his life.
Yeah,
for
he
this
almost
gank
died
because
there.
Tamkens can keep you there for so long with the grey health. He can stall with this huge shield that he gets, that by the time he's out of the shield, you would have taken so much damage from the towers. And look at what we talked about before. Ericsson is putting down the pain onto Eden Fox because of that range advantage that he has as Azir.
So obnoxious to have to play against those Azir Sound Soldiers, but he's doing a fairly good job keeping up in farm. Doesn't have TP available for him, but he seems to be roaming down bot side, or at least testing the waters once again, quite literally as he's roaming down the river, but I can't quite find the angle. So instead, we'll be going back to the mid lane and picking up that massive wave. So Trouble, I have a little bit of a question for you. For the uninitiated, what on earth's name does a Tahm Kench with Glacial Augment use his income on? Does he use it on one of these active items, or does he just use it to get that auto attack passive, is what I mean?
I think you just go for the auto attack passive, because once you've put down the tongue lash and you get that auto attack slow, it is so much easier to proc your stun, and you are playing against a team that a lot of people might be diving in your backline. You could even have Eden Fox diving into your backline past the Towers of Tide to try and get a kill, you know, on Ericsson, on Foxy. And we have action
in
in
the
jungle.
red side. Yeah, action in the jungle indeed. Kex banishes Young to the Shadow Realm, I believe, but that leaves Ploxy in it 1 versus 2, and Kex now flashes over the wall right as the Shadow Realm puts him back into the reality, and he pays for it with his life. Unfortunate use there of that Realm of Death, putting his teammate in that 1v2 situation. And there it is, 2 kills for Copenhagen Flames.
Yikes! That was already looking bad because you're invading with 2 people, but Nisris was able to join, while on the other side Ericsson was kind of going back to base. So you were already on a 2v3, and then Kex makes that a 1v2 for Ploxy. Well, all sweet though ended up being for Eden Fox on that Corki, which if somebody really needs the help from the gold, it is going to be that Corki in the mid lane. You want to get that Trinity boost as fast as possible and try to push down objectives with it. Yes, it's only Cloud Drake. This is why we haven't seen much pressure in the bot side of the map. But right now, it is going to be Copenhagen Flames who are going to claim this.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Flames do appear as if they will be able to secure this air dragon quite nicely. And we've been talking about, well, yeah, he is around, but he's just not. There's too thick of a wall in between him and that dragon. He will be able to find some interrupts though.
Aww.
Ah man, just taps him a little bit, saying nope, cannot go back just yet. So how do you deal with the Azir? I guess you put 2 kills on your Corki, because honestly, we've been talking about all these matchups on the premise that they'll be even. With these 2 kills onto Eden Fox, he can start to make proactive decisions about when to go in, when to fight, and with that package, when to clear the wave.
I was about to say, it's so unfortunate. Eden Fox does have the package, but the fact is, if you go top lane, Mordekaiser is going to isolate you, so your package does not count. If you go bot lane, there's too much tower pressure, and top side though.
Top side again. Kex is here. That's another Shadow Realm fight. Young versus Kex. I think Kex wins this one. Yeah, he can't get away. The bonk comes in, and Young gets killed off by that top lane Mordekaiser. That's how you use the Realm of Death when you're ganked in a 1v2 situation. Nicely played.
Exactly. That was perfectly played this time from Kex. You don't do this to your teammate, but you can do this to the enemy
Yeah.
jungler. You can deal with them. Young is not fed at all at this point. So him trying to get a gank off in the top lane when Kex has these items, almost the protocol completed, might have been a little bit of a underestimation, I'm sorry, of the damage that Kex can do. Takes him into the realm, never comes out alive, and you saw that Nisquis also has a really hard time trying to farm because of all the poke that Kex puts down on him.
When there's a relentless poker who can also 1v1 you to the death at this stage of the game, not happy to be a Jax as Nisquis, especially not when Young comes for the drive-by. But we do see an on the way ping by Ploxy, so perhaps a 2 versus 2 situation, or 1v2 it seems, as Young is in the way. If Ploxy positions nicely into these bushes, man, I don't know. Kex is just too far pushed up. They have to display a lot of patience here, and meanwhile mid lane, the same thing appears to be happening.
Nisquis does not have his ultimate. I'm sorry, he doesn't have his flash, and he decides to go in on his own.
But he successfully... Wait, hang on. Oh, this could be a tower dive. Kindred does have ultimate available, but they don't go for the dive. But perhaps it is enough to push him away. Here's Young to dissuade the dive, and that's going to be all that comes from that. 2 plates meanwhile on the bot side. But yeah, some early game pressure coming from Kex, and if he can apply this amount of damage and pressure now, just imagine later on.
I mean, the thing is that if you don't take advantage of the early game weak Jax, he's gonna transform into that huge beast the Aatrox was in the previous games.
Oh, yeah.
So, Kalira, you do not want to be around these towers at all. Rakan is very squishy. One stun lands, he will go down to the ray of the towers. So, I wanted to say it feels bad, man, for Yang, because he really cannot gunk anywhere. Azir is literally going to push you back. Kex is going to isolate you and kill you in the realm. And bot lane, well, you saw what happened to Kalira going close to these towers. And
Ooh, nice
Young,
there.
yeah, and Young had his own experience with the towers a couple of minutes ago, so he doesn't want to have it again. So it's really sad because you cannot really make plays anywhere near the map, and Ploxy is literally unlocked.
Ploxy is unlocked and it can do whatever he wants with all of these attempts from Young. Like, it's difficult for Young to do anything, but at the same time, Young keeps on trying, and every time he shows, Ploxy gets to read this jungle like a book, because Young knows that he has to try to force something here. Rek'Sai, sure, he has the knock up. Yeah, beautiful bot lane wave cleared there, almost forcing some tower shots there coming in. Yes, Rek'Sai is strong early on, early duelist, but doesn't necessarily have the most utility later on. So Kindred's going to be way favored.
No, and I love the idea behind the draft from Nordavind, because they kind of negated the entire kit of the early game Rek'Sai pressure.
Botline dive though. There's the Shadow Realm, as I spoke about. Ult the Rakan and you're fine. Is he going to flash over? He is. And the bomb comes in, but he misses. Kalira. Man, the passive damage is enough. And the cross-map play is so difficult to pull off though.
Dive!
Yeah, the dive comes in, but the HP is there with all the shielding. And look, is she going to die off though, Gooby? Nah, he dodged out on the final turret shot. But the cross-map play is... The idea is nice there from Copenhagen Flames. Unfortunately lost one member as they lost first tower top. But man, it's so difficult against this Mordekaiser.
I saw Kalira trying to get the knock-up before, and I was like, Kalira, you definitely don't want to do this. You definitely don't want to dive, and because she's just going to isolate you under the tower and kill you. That is the case with Kex, but a good reply from Nisquis. Repeats with 1 kill for themselves. Oh, and the Fox!
They can't find the true damage output of their potential, or the potential true damage output there. But they do push away and gain that turret. Even picked up a couple of plates there, I believe, with the Rift Heralds before they expired. God, you're looking for something here, but nah. So yeah, the point that you made about the Mordekaiser ulting you under tower is for those uninitiated, the tower remains. The tower is part of the environment. Ult someone on the tower, and it's a permanent tower dive by them. They will continue to target. How it works with it targeting other team members apart from that, I'm not quite sure. Do you know, actually? Like, can they target 2 people at the same time? Surely not.
It cannot. No, I don't think it can target 2 people at the same time because the blob is there, so it is going
that's true.
to drag the heat from the tower. It would have been a little bit unfair if somebody was diving you and you take him into the realm and you're like, haha, I can do damage to 2 people at once. That would have been a little bit broken, let's say. We don't want that. But nevertheless, Kex on that Mordekaiser, drawing all the attention and coming out victorious out of this. And victorious, guys, does not necessarily mean that he has the insane KD, but when you pull all this pressure and all these members of Copenhagen Flames, that means that the rest of your team is unleashed to move around the rest of the map. And this time, Nordavind are the ones that secure the Cloud Drain.
So the movement speed bonus that Copenhagen Flames have been sitting on for quite some time has been matched. And again, we see a cross-map play after that air dragon picks up. Nordavind rotates to the bot turret, and Copenhagen Flames rotate top. So they match each other quite nicely.
Found themselves.
Eden Fox. Oh yeah. Hang on just a second here. Ploxy testing waters. Yeah, look at, like, honestly, the Copenhagen Flames members, they don't have enough HP to play with, especially not Eden Fox. So he has to recall, but then again, they were looking for something here, and Nordavind were looking for an attempted, catch, but they couldn't quite find it and forced to disengage. That's really all that comes from it, really.
Well, at this point, both teams have a lot of squishy members, and they've lost a lot of towers, both of them. So there isn't really many places you can go and not any objectives you can actually contest or go for if you're either team. So they're kind of like, they're all around scattered in the place, trying to grab some CS, trying to get some gold in. And you can see that, Gubby is the one in the mid lane right now, and he's really struggling to go anywhere near the wave. He has to clear out with the spells, and Eden wants a more peaceful place to farm. But look at that, that's not peaceful at all where you are, Eden.
Not peaceful whatsoever. Eden is way forward, but there is that TP. Surely he can get away here. Absolutely. The stun, it's enough. It finds him right before the TP goes off. Gorgeously played by Tide. Has just enough range for the second bounce of the bomb to hit him and kill off the Copenhagen Flames mid laner. Wow. That was very well timed.
Yeah, that was a great grenade right there from Tide, stopping him. I think that was probably 0.5 seconds before Eden could get back to safety. But you see what we talked about. You're missing all your outer towers. It's so dangerous for you to farm. Young, are you fancying another fight?
He's fancying waiting around for both players to respawn out of the realm, but Kex has enough damage to kill him off, but surely he will die also to the Rek'Sai ultimate. There is Ericsson, however, the Sun Soldiers, and the ultimate is enough damage to make it a 1-4-2. Once again, nicely played by Kex to buy enough time for Ericsson to come back, or come and assist him, and to take down a player in while. And that allows the rest of the team to push top.
Exactly, that was 3 players that Kex was able to pull all the way to the bot side, meaning Ploxy can do whatever he wants on the top side quadrant of Copenhagen Flames jungle. He empties the entire thing. He's gonna grab the Scuttle Crab. They're pinging Baron. Surely not. Surely not,
indeed. I was about to say, there's no setup whatsoever. It's a minute and 20 seconds before it even spawns, and I don't think... Yes, you have some single target DPS with the Azir and Ploxy. Yeah, a lot, for sure. But
the turrets?
There has to be setup, right? You have to work hard for this to even manage to find the window.
I mean, I don't know about working hard, but when you have all the powers... Baron,
yeah, that's fair.
He's got like almost 2 items completed on the Heimerdinger. And you can see that even Copenhagen Flames have it in the back of their minds. Like, guys, they have so much auto-attack damage that we need to keep this big warded, or we might lose him from our side without even realizing. So they put a cheeky ward at the back of the pit, making sure that Baron stays where he is for the present at least. And just going back to the fact that Kex has built up all this pressure that Nordavind has in the game. Are they going to attempt this? They are all around the Baron, but there is that cheeky ward at the back of the pit.
There is that ward, and neither team has done too good of a job at sweeping the area, or like at least regaining control of the area and putting down their own control wards and stuff. There is one right next to the scuttle there, but the thing is, right, if Nordavind find that window, they do it so quickly. The Heimer can just ult, drop down a big turret, you got Azir, and even so, on top of that, the pure AoE, yeah, that's a lot of damage just from the laser here. The pure AoE can also be enough to dissuade Copenhagen Flames to even attempt to fight it, right? You just want to play disruption, surely.
And the thing is, like you said, when you have your Mordekaiser there, if the Rakan attempts to get into the fight, you just banish him out, and then you have all the tools to deal with 4 members of Copenhagen Flames if you are Nordavind. Now, obviously, the tempo has gone fairly low at this point because both of the teams are thinking of how to go further. They know they all have the late game, but they need to figure out how they can go around, you know, the tools that each team has. Like, you cannot completely unsee the turrets of Tide. They're very powerful. On the other hand, you put Eden Fox to farm on a side lane and he gets ganked by 3 members. You know, you put Kex on a side lane, he pulls another 3 members of Copenhagen Flames. So I feel like the name of the game for Nordavind here is you put Kex on the side lane, he dispatches Jax completely before he has Sojins and he is unbeatable, and then you try to have a Baron fight, get Kex TP'd back in, and you have the 5v4 member advantage. But we'll see what Nordavind chooses to do here. On the other side, Copenhagen Flames, they do need to scale a little bit better. They need a 3rd item onto the Zarya, and some boots would be nice as well. They've already completed Trinity Force and Infinity Edge on the Corki, which is really great at this point. And I think Sojins is going to be the cherry on top of what they need to team fight.
When do you think the Jax is strong enough to completely 1v1 the Mordekaiser Kex down there, if they decide to send Kex there even? He seems to be on...
Oh, they've started it!
The Baron. Yeah, they've started it. You'll have to answer that question later on. There is a control ward in the pit, and another one on top.
And
the
a jungler
Baron
around.
is down at 4k HP. The DPS is there, but they're not quite confident enough. There comes the TP from Jax.
Right behind them.
Forced to flash over the wall, over the blue buff wall, and disengage. So that is that teleport drawn out of the Jax, and he's now much less of a split push tool. So back to my question: do you think that the Jax will be strong enough to 1v1 Kex once Nijuiz picks up Shojin?
I have the feeling that once he has completed that Shojin, he will be really strong. But a QSS is what's really gonna make or break that 1v1. Get out of the realm, 1v1 Kaiser, or even if you don't 1v1 the Mordekaiser, give enough room and space to your team to try and 4v4 Nordavind's 4 remaining members on the other side of the map. Although, talking about Nordavind, that was so clever what they did. They not only got the Jax teleport, but they blew the flash on him as well. So right now, Gex is like, alright guys, I'm going back bot lane, and now he has to deal with Gubby, which I'm pretty positive he can 1v1 very easily.
Quite easily indeed. Nijuiz is in response then forced to sit mid lane and be part of the main team, and that's not really where a Jax shines. So the fact that they have to send Gooby down bot purely because of TP pressure is going to play a lot in the tempo, perhaps, of this coming Baron start, or Baron disengage or engage, or whatever these teams find themselves doing. Because, I mean, TPing in as a Mordekaiser is very different from TPing in as an ADC. Surely, you have to take into consideration that you just don't survive as long whatsoever. You can't be as aggressive.
Yeah. And if Gubby decides to TP in together with Kex, Gubby has to TP somewhere where it's completely safe. So let's say at that ward that's at the red buff. It will take him some time to get into the fight compared to Kex that does not care because he's tanky and he could potentially TP in the center of the fight, use his realm and be safe against, maybe 4 members that will be waiting for him. And you see, instantly...
Here we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
you're right. There's the death realm coming in, but I think Gooby has enough damage to 1v1. But look at that shielding and healing from Kex. Oh, Gooby's flash does not get enough distance, and now Kex is in a silent with teleport pressure. That is absolutely a Baron call, but look at the amount of damage that Tide is taking here. Actually, we see Kex recalling instead of staying for that bot lane turret. So a little bit of a reset, despite that beautiful 1v1 between Kex and Gooby that allowed Kex that bot lane pressure advantage. Surely they could have done something there if Tides perhaps had taken a little bit less damage, maybe.
I really do not think that Gabi was the correct person to put down there against Kex. He's the most fed member of Nordavind, and your Xayah does not have enough power to be able to go 1v1 against him. Relay is also completed now for Kex. Look at the Xayah itemization. Gabi now has to go full Hex Drinker on Xayah to try and stay alive. Clever item, because you're going against 3 APs that you're going to have to deal with in the fight, but it takes back from that power spike combo of the 3 items on your Xayah, so now you have to wait even longer for that skill to come in.
That Hex Drinker really hurts to see. Oh no. As you said, it takes away so much from the scaling momentum that you have on your Xayah, on Copenhagen Flames. But then again, just compare that to the opposite side with Tide on this Heimerdinger. He's just 40 CS up, has way more targeted, chosen, consistent damage than Tide, and with this advantage that Gooby has accumulated, I think it can afford to go a Hex Drinker, honestly, and I just make this decision to choose survivability over damage, especially since it seems to matter a lot with Kex in the picture.
To be honest, that one hit from NAP damage could mean the end for someone when hold on to that, because Nisui fancies a fight now that Soulshades and QS is left.
Look at that shield though, and the healing comes in. The Proto Belt bonk! Oh man, it's enough to take on the issues before Gooby arrives, and that's another Baron call for Nordavind. There is that teleport, this time from Ericsson, and if needed, Kex can't come in. Focus in.
He's kept in the bot lane though.
Yeah, it's still there. They're holding a 1v1. Can Young steal this one away? He's looking for it. There is a control ward, and there's the steal! It comes in clutch! Meanwhile, Gooby wins the 1 versus 1 down bot lane, so a beautiful double win there for Copenhagen Flames. Young sacrificing his life for the greater good, and Copenhagen Flames come away with a defensive Baron.
Insane hero play by Young right there. Sacrifice himself, flashes into the pit and steals Baron, while Gabi in the bot lane dispatches of Kex. And I was about to say, when that fight started between Kex and Nisui in the bot lane, I was like, yes, he has the Sojins, he has that QSS, he can do it. Well, guess what? He still can't do it because this Mordekaiser is insane. That damage is insane, and I'm expecting in the next game to see that thing being banned away, because it's illegal. At this point, this champion is illegal. Okay, he cannot be played anymore. Great job by Gabi right there. You saw that the Hex Drinker did pay off, kept him alive, and it was a win-win scenario from the side of Copenhagen Flames. Not only they take down the most fed member and the shutdown to your ADC, you also grab the Baron, and now you're the one in the offensive mode.
Coaches and managers and analysts of the Nordic Esports League 2019 summer season teams, take notes, because Troublelink has laid down a ground rule. Mordekaiser, not allowed anymore. Remove this champion. Absolutely illegal. You can't use it. Oh man. No, it's true. It just attracts so much attention. And you talked a little bit about the banning phase of the coming game. if you disregard the Mordekaiser, there's still so many points of targeting that you could go on. You could target the Kindred, you could target the Tahm Kench, because surely that just playing around the fact that Tahm Kench exists in the game, the fact that Kindred exists in the game, you saw it early. It's so difficult for Young to do anything, and Copenhagen Flames are so dependent on him having early impact. So I'm looking forward to see how the banning phase plays out. Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like one champion is going to win you the game, but we've seen in this game that Kex put down so much pressure from the start that Young has been able to do absolutely nothing other than that hero play at Baron, which was stolen. Nishri's fancy a tower dive?
Yeah, and that's the Heimerdinger ultimate, also the bouncing grenade there. But it's purely Nishiri is baiting out some cooldowns, it seems. So nothing more to touch on there. So just playing around with what he can get away with, it seems.
I mean, this is definitely going to have to be a 2 Baron kind of decider game, because there is another Mountain Drake spawning in 30 seconds time from now. So Copenhagen Flames, they went back, they reset, they bought everything. Look at that. QS is now available on 3 out of 5 members of Copenhagen Flames. So Mordekaiser has to make a choice. The easiest choice here would probably be get that Rakan away from the team fight, so you can't shield the Zarya, you can't CC anyone, it's just me and you. I'm gonna one-shot you in the pit and then come out for the rest of your team. Yes, but all the other members stay out, and look how squeezy they are apart from Gigashock, and Gigashock can only save 1.
It's true, he can only save 1 character, but I mean, at the same time, everyone's got so many defensive tools for themselves. Also, there's self-peel for pretty much everyone, so I wouldn't necessarily argue that Gigashock is essential here. But yes, absolutely important.
For me, all eyes on Nishri from now on. He has exactly what the Jax needs and more at this point to be able to one-shot any carry and stick to them. The only problem will be probably the Azir ult. Ooh, Gabi is playing really aggressive in the mid lane, doesn't really care.
It depends a little bit on how long Nishiris can stick to someone, and a little bit on what setting it is. If it's a 1v1, if it's actually inside of the team, right? Sure, there's the Azir disengage tool, but I mean, he doesn't have to play around the Azir really, though.
God, it still looks so hard for Copenhagen Flames. Yes, you did get the Baron, but it's so hard to stick on any champion. Tide has got that hourglass. Azir can stay safe with ultimate and being pulled away by his soldiers. Hourglass now completed for Kex as well in the top lane. And then you've got the Kindred ult. On top of that, if everything else fails, if hell breaks loose, Ploxy is there to save you with the R press button. And if all of that does not work still, Gigashock is there with the Devour. So how in the world do you stick on a champion if you are Copenhagen Flames? And how in the world do you dodge all this Azir and Heimerdinger damage if you're Eden and Gubby, which those two are very short range ADCs?
And it feels like they have to find these ways to stick to a champion. Because if you send Nichiris to a side lane, the speed in which, once again, Nordavind does the Baron is ridiculous. You don't really have much of a window where Jax can split push you into a win. So you're constantly seeing Nichiris being called into the action. So it's essential that they do find this window to stick to any of these carries. But it's so difficult. Yes, they all have their own defensive tools. Yes, there's the... Wait, hang on. Eden Fox gets pulled in, and QSS... Oh, actually, never mind. That was a miswatch from me. Yeah. See, he just gets away. Boss, difficult for sure. That's package used, at least.
That was the package, though, yeah. He has to TP back in because they are really scared of exactly what you said. The speed that Nordavind can't kill this Baron with is insane. And add on top of that a Mountain Drake that they just got a couple of minutes before, that makes it even much faster. So Really here, it's gonna be the teleport game. You put the members that could get closer to the Baron away with the teleport, but you know what? Copenhagen Flames don't have any teleports available to them, and they've sent Eden Fox to the bot side. He's trying to clear as much as possible. On the other hand, though, every single teleport is available, so you can again put Kex on a side lane and try to draw as many members as possible from Copenhagen Flames, and that's when you start the Baron.
Where do you want Kex, however? Do you just send him
Probably bot
wherever
side.
good is, or do you actively send him bot side? What do you think?
I mean, Nishui has to stay in the top lane because he has to be close to that Baron for a possible call if it gets started, because his TP, yes, it will be available soon, but it's not available yet. On the other side, Kex can push all the way the bot side. Oh, Kex has got himself a
Shadow
Rek'Sai.
Realm comes in again. Young finds himself in a big pickle. There's the boink again. Young goes down. That's a crucial jungle pick right in front of the Baron. Causes them to finally pull the trigger and start it for real. Watch Niku on the left side. We talked about this for so long. He needs to find a way to stick to people. Kalhira, the freaking hell. Fluxy comes in with the secure. There's no steal that manages to steal away to completion, and instead it's a cleanup crew in favor of Copenhagen Flames. So yes, Nordavind, they get the Baron, but it's only alive on one carry. It's the Kindred and no one else. Copenhagen Flames have a short momentum window here, and there's also the Elder Dragon. Take that into consideration. They could take this mid turret.
10 seconds.
Could push forward, and they can take the Elder Dragon on the way out.
Yes.
20 seconds to go. Can they even end the game here? They're potentially looking at it. Oh wow, look at these crits coming in. Oh, the crits come in. The rapid fire cannon is enough. Eden Fox is huge, and that is Copenhagen Flames slaying the Norwegian #1 representatives and taking us to match points.
Oh my god. And right as we talked about Ericsson and how Azir is so hard to move past when you have two close range ADCs, and right here we were talking about a 4v5 that Copenhagen Flames won against Nordavind, which was so hard all along. They've been trying and trying and trying over and over again, and it happened here at the Baron Pit because that was such a clutch ult and knocker by Kalira that Ericsson gets one shot by Eden Fox and Gabi. No way of pushing them back, no way of returning any damage, goes straight down, and then all this separation and damage that he does with his Sand Soldiers is nowhere to be found. No realm for Kex. He's basically there to be the front line, and he's still not that strong to be the front line. Yes, enemy smite was down. Young was down. The only reason they lost the Baron before was down. They thought it was secure and free. Kalira had different plans, and good game of play. That was really, really, really well played in the last team fight by Copenhagen Flames.
Beautiful analysis there. All the stars aligned for Copenhagen Flames in that final team fight, despite being 4 versus 5 for the majority of it. And that does put Copenhagen Flames at match point versus Nordavind. We'll see if they can close out the series after just a few commercials. Don't go anywhere, lads. You do not want to miss this one.